Hey guys, get started in just a minute here. Just sharing a link to the Discord. Hope everybody's having a good night / morning, depending on where you are, or evening, depending on what part of the world you're in. We wait for people. I'm going to bring up a backing track. What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's having a good night. Let's see. Just checking on something real quick. There's some stuff I want to discuss today in this live stream, but I need to retitle it so that we know what we're talking about. Give me just a second, guys. I hope everybody's having a great night. Let's see. Oh boy. I might have to end it. Hey, what's up? What's up? I hope everybody's having a good night. I'm trying to figure out how to rename this stream, because I need to name it something specific that has to do with what I want to talk about tonight. But I don't think I can. Anyway, hope everybody's having a good night. There, that was annoying me. Got my positive grid spark. I have my Gibson SG standard. So this is a 05 that I got. It's actually kind of beat up pretty bad when I got it. I don't like the humbuckers it came with. It actually came with burst buckers. We did a video about it a couple weeks ago. I've actually removed them, and I put these really cool super distortions from the 70s, and they sound amazing. This guitar has definitely been through a lot. You can see there's some paint just missing, finish missing from the side of the neck. So whoever owned this guitar before me was playing, like, you know, right here. Which, you know, that's kind of where you make your money as a guitar player, right? You know, really you make your money down here, but you can also make it up here. So I have my Spark here. Guys, I was trying to go live like over an hour ago, but my audio interface decided to take a poop. Did not work. And it would blue screen every single time I tried to do anything. If I changed a setting on it or pressed a button on it or something, it would blue screen my computer. And my Mac is not powerful enough to do this. So what you get instead is a very terrible webcam microphone, which, by the way, can you hear me okay? Could you hear my guitar okay? Did it sound awful? Let me know. I have no idea how it sounds to you. All right. So, you can hear me fine. Good. I'm going to actually open another window. I'm not going anywhere. So hold on a second. I'm still here. I got to open another window real quick and check something. And then we'll get down to business. There's many things to discuss. So a lot of people I've gotten a lot of feedback. I was going to make a video about this, and I still might make a proper video about this, but I have made some videos about Chibsons lately, and I was going to just like let it, you know, put that topic to bed and just be done with it, but I really can't. I mean, we've got a pretty serious problem right now in our community, and when I say our community, I mean guitar community, musicians community, regarding Chibsons. Shots have been fired at this point. Okay, so this all started because I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups, as many of you probably are. Some of them are like the cheap guitar groups, where people talk about, like, here's the cheap guitar that I got last week. It was only $300. Isn't that cool? And it used to be things like SX and Vintage and like the new Kramer stuff, Squire, Epiphone, you know. And I noticed in the last couple of years, those groups have become infested with Chibson stuff. Like that first of all, just like that takes the fun out of the whole bargain guitar thing, right? This was a bargain guitar, by the way. This cost less than $500. My number one right now, my Les Paul, that cost me less than $500. I got it at a guitar show. So those are the kind of guitars that are cool to talk about. Like, hey guys, look, I got this cool guitar. It was, you know, a great deal. And it's not to brag or show off. It's just we push each other, you know? If you guys got a great deal on something, I want to know. I want to know about it. I want to hear, like, you know, I found this really cool Gibson Sonex for $250. Awesome. I want to hear about that. That's really cool. It doesn't have to be a Gibson either. It could be anything. It could be a Squire Bullet Mustang, which there's one sitting back there. Just did a video on one. But the group started to get infested with Chibsons. And to me, that sucks the fun out of it. You can go to eBay or AliExpress or wherever the hell you want to go, DHgate, right now, and buy a Chibson for $200, $300, $400. And anyone can do that. You didn't find a deal. You really didn't find a deal. That's the first thing that kind of really started to grind my gears about this. It wasn't even about the morals or the ethics of Chibsons at first. It was just, I noticed they've always existed. We know this. Knockoff Gibsons themselves have existed for a long time. I want to clarify. I'm talking about Chinese-made, knockoff, counterfeit, illegal export Chibson guitars, not like Slash. That's something I hear a lot. Well, Slash played a Chibson. No, he didn't. He played a guitar that was a replica of a Gibson that was made by an American luthier who put Gibson on the headstock. Was that unethical to do? Yeah, but it's not even close to the same thing, and don't pretend that it is. Somebody making you a knockoff, fake, counterfeit guitar in China is not the same thing as a luthier making you a Les Paul in the States. It's not the same thing. So it just got out of control. It started to build really bad. I mean, we've got people who are making their money on this platform, YouTube, and on Facebook, off of these guitars. And I realized that I kind of had a major problem with it. From time to time, this channel receives notifications and communications from outside sources that are wanting to send products my way. Or have me review something, or send me something just because they think that I'm going to talk good about it. Because, you know, I'm not going to say that I'm a big player, because I'm not. I'm just a little dude. But in the budget world, you know, I made a few videos that are somewhat successful, I guess. And some companies, I'm not going to name who they are, have reached out to me and offered to send me products in exchange for reviews. And I always tell them, sure, but it's not in exchange for a positive review. It's in exchange for an honest review. And a Chibson factory reached out to me with the same proposition. I said, send it to me, sure, but I'm going to be honest. And so we reviewed it, right? It came, we reviewed it. I'm not going to go over things that I've already mentioned in those other 2 or 3 videos that I made. Okay? What's said is said. But I noticed there's some particular people on this platform that their entire shtick is Chibson guitars. And I've noticed that people were name dropping this channel and some of the things that I said, telling me that one guy said I was twisted. That's literally how he described me. I was twisted, and I would never get a subscription from him. It's just interesting, you know. People are willing to die on this hill. You know, and again, I'm not going to go over again what I've already gone over in the past about this topic. It's just something right now that I think is kind of ripping the fabric of our hobby in two. On one hand, you have people who try to say that if you don't like Chibsons, then you don't like poor people, or something like that. Or if you don't like Chibsons, you don't like people that don't have money. And that's not a sentiment that I ever echoed, ever. I mean, everything on this side of your screen, besides that Gibson in the very front, the blue one, was less than, I'm looking at them, less than $300 each back there. And I even said in my own video, you know, go buy a cheap guitar and it's probably going to be better than the Chibson. Like that Beretta Special, you can see it right over my shoulder right there, that red one. That's better. That OLP MM1 behind it, that's better. That yellow Dean ML X, which is in front of it, that's better. The West Creek Revenge in front of that, that's better. There's a Les Paul Studio back there, Epiphone, that's better. And so I never said that you had to buy a Gibson. I really didn't. Do I prefer Gibsons? Yes. I don't understand why I'm a bad guy or other guitar players are bad guys because they say they prefer Gibsons. Like, why is that such a problem? Gibson has a reputation and has a price point because they have a heritage of making good handmade, or, you know, not handmade, but hand-finished guitars, right? There's nothing wrong with preferring a performance brand of something, you know? There's nothing wrong with preferring a Corvette to a Monte Carlo. It makes sense, too. It's not just, there's nothing wrong with it. It makes sense. You have more performance. It costs more money because you get more for your money, right? You have a certain standard that you expect. So we are at this really weird intersection of people that hate people that really like nice things, which nice does not have to equal expensive. Again, like I just said about these guitars over this shoulder over here, you know, those are all cheaper than a Chibson would cost. We're talking about a guitar that people are advocating for, where they've accepted that, well, once it comes, you have to replace everything. Like, what other product can you think of where that's okay? Like, what if it was like, well, I really like that truck. After you replace the engine, the transmission, the heater core, and the steering column. That doesn't make any sense. And then after you pay for all that stuff, you have a cobbled together truck that you had to finish because the factory did a terrible job, when you could have spent the same or less money on something that was ready to go, that you didn't have to do anything to. That's really what it comes down to. I don't understand why there's so much vitriol here with this topic. I think that I speak for a lot of us when I say that it's not ethical, and even outside of the ethics. Let's say you don't care about ethics or morals, which if you don't care about ethics and morals, we're not going to agree on very much. I'm going to tell you that right now. But even if you didn't care about those things, you're objectively getting a bad product. So, like, why? Why are we dying on this hill, guys? Why? Why are we dying on this hill? If you died on a hill of, like, ESP LTD or Epiphone, if you died on the hill of an Epiphone Les Paul Special, I would respect you more than if you died on the Chibson hill. Because at least that's a licensed product that costs less than half of what a Chibson costs, right? So I'm just noticing it's getting worse. Like this snowball effect is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Even since I made those videos, I didn't think there was any reason to make another video about this topic, like an official one. You know, it was something that I just wanted to talk about live with people, because I get a lot of really hateful comments on this. You know, I don't think that's cool, man. I try to address these things and these points with some sort of see, here we go. No one is paying thousands for a Gibson, especially your age. I've never paid thousands for a Gibson, dude. Like, if you go to GuitarCenter.com right now and look at Guitar Center used, you can find Gibsons for less than $700 right now. And as I've stated before, Epiphone guitars, like an let's say like the Epiphone inspired by Gibson Studio, right? Out of the box, that's like a what, $500 guitar? Out of the box, it needs nothing. It's perfect. So why are you going to go spend $350 on a Chibson, and then $50 for pickups, and then $10 for a nut, and then $10 for a bridge, and then by the time you calculate it all out, you have a worse guitar, and you paid more money for it? Yeah, Epiphones are made in China, but they're licensed. Here's the thing you have to understand about this. Epiphone has a brand name, does it not? A brand's reputation is very important. If Epiphone said, we're not going to bother with QC anymore. We're just going to send shitty guitars out the door. We're not going to care. We're going to make them as cheap as possible, and we don't care if they're good or not. And people won't buy them anymore. And then the company's going to be in big trouble. Gibson makes most of its money from its budget guitar line, right? At Chibson, they have zero brand reputation because nobody knows where they're actually coming from, right? They can make them as cheaply as possible. They can make as many as they want to, and they can shoot them out the door as fast as possible. They can send out 1,000 duds in a row, and there's no reputation to be ruined other than the overall idea of what a Chibson is. Epiphone has a brand to stand on. They have to have a reputation to maintain. I haven't played a bad Epiphone in the last, I don't know, 5 years or so. I have an 89 back behind me that I got for less than $300, and it's better than any Chibson I've ever played. And that's an 89. Do you not know how to QC your own stuff? They are clearly made in the same... No, they're not. They're not made in the same factory as the Epiphones. They're not, simply. Plain and simple, they're not. There's no way they are. I mean, like I said this in my video. I've got a... in fact, I'm pretty sure that most of the Epiphones as Fighting 1202 says, pretty sure most of them are made in Indonesia now. There are Chinese ones. But again, I have an Epiphone Les Paul Studio right over here. And it weighs twice as much as my Chibson Les Paul Standard. They're not made in the same factory, dude. There's not. They're not. Find me the equivalent to the Chibson Les Paul Standard that I have. Find me a Epiphone Les Paul Standard that weighs 6.5 pounds. Find one. Find one that has the things that this one has. Not to mention, the fingerboard is a joke. It's literally like chalkboard. Like, you know. They're definitely not all junk. The Les Paul 100 is great. The Studio LT is great. Some of the older specials are actually not that bad, like the Goth SG special. That's pretty cool. The standard 50s and standard 60s, those are expensive. Now, let me qualify something for you real quick that is important to say. I think that Gibson's business model right now is horrible. I have absolutely nothing to gain by not liking Chibsons is not an endorsement for Gibson. I want to say that, just black and white. So if I say I hate Chibsons and think they're unethical and think they're crappy guitars, that's not because I'm a Gibson fanboy. I haven't bought a new Gibson, okay? All of my Gibsons, like that blue one behind me and this one, I got them secondhand for ridiculously low prices, okay? Gibson's business model is really screwed up, and it's very bad for us as guitarists. They are not innocent here. They have created a problem. Why are the Epiphones $800–900 now? That is too much. Now, does that mean that it's now morally acceptable to go buy a illegal export counterfeit guitar? No, it doesn't. It means that you go buy a pre-owned Epiphone that's going to be way better, or go buy like an ESP LTD or something. Now, that's going to be a better guitar. So, you know, I want to make sure you guys understand that. I think, like I was saying before at the very beginning of this, people are conflating many different opinions. Just because someone doesn't like Chibson does not mean that they love Gibson. I like older Gibsons. This is an 05. It's great. But it is, you know, every guitar is different. You could pick up an SG, a Gibson SG, and it's absolutely awful. Like, that can happen and does happen. Same with a Gibson Les Paul. That blue one behind me is a first run Robot Les Paul. It's actually number 24 off the line of the very first edition of the Robot. Mine works perfect. If all the Robot Les Pauls worked like that blue one back there, it would have been a hit and it would not have failed. Everybody would still be talking about them. They'd still be making them today. But a lot of them were bad. I accept and admit that. Hey, Ian, what's up? As a capitalist, I have the right to seek the lowest price for any. If you're a capitalist, then you won't support the CCP by buying illegal counterfeit items from China. That's the fact, man. Because you are like I said in the beginning of this, if you're not going to if you're going to say morals and ethics don't matter to you, then we don't have a debate. We don't have a discussion, because that's my baseline for this. Okay, there's two issues. One is moral and ethical. The other is quality. Okay, you can't tell me in good faith that you need to get that this guitar is a good buy if you replace the bridge, replace the tuners, replace the nut, replace the pickups, replace the pots, replace the switch. You can't tell me that's a good buy. You just can't. And you can't suggest anyone do that. This is outside of the moral and ethical issue. Is it your right? Is it legal for you to purchase it? Yeah, it is legal for you to purchase it. It's not legal for China to export it here. You need to understand that. It's illegal for them to export it here. Semantics matter, okay? It's not illegal for you to buy it. It's illegal for them to sell it to you and send it to the United States. So you are supporting an unlawful act if you buy one. It's a fact. You're not committing the unlawful act, but you're supporting one. I don't understand what your argument is, man. They have no need to obey our laws. I don't understand why that's relevant. Again, you're not coming from a place of morals and ethics at this moment right now. It's illegal for you to sell it to me unless, if you tell me that it's if you tell me, no, it's not legal for you to sell it to me. It's not legal for them to sell it to you. There's a very obscure law in which if you buy something for personal use, you're allowed to buy it, but they're not allowed to sell it. It's really weird. In other words, the crackdown comes on the seller. It doesn't come onto the buyer. So if you sold it to me and I bought it from you, I wouldn't be committing a crime, but you would be. And even if you told me it's fake, it's still illegal, by the way, because it is a counterfeit product. That's a counterfeit product. Selling counterfeit product is illegal, even if you tell me it's counterfeit. Now, the whole replica thing is an argument people will use, counter argument, but that's not a valid argument, because you can't say it's a replica and then put a trademarked logo on it and sell it to me, or be in the possession of something with a trademark logo. Like, let's say this was fake. It's not. Let's say that it were, and I said, hey man, this is fake. This is a fake Gibson. It's not a real Gibson, but I'm going to sell it to you. It's still illegal for me to sell it to you because it is a counterfeit product. Doesn't matter if I told you or not. It's illegal to do that. So legality notwithstanding, it's not ethical. Period. Okay. Well, then go watch his channel. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm saying this is a I'm not going to go engage with that content because I don't support this. I don't support this whole thing. So I'm not going to go engage with that content. I don't. The fact of the matter is that it is a counterfeit product that is pretending to be something that it's not. Then why are you here? If you don't get what I'm saying because I'm wrong, then why are you here? I don't understand. I don't understand what the point is. And like I said, even if I'm wrong about that, it's still not ethical to do this. It's still not ethical to do this, even if I'm wrong about the law. I've said multiple times in the last few minutes that there are 2 points to this. There's a legal aspect to it, and there's an ethical aspect to it. There's also a product aspect to it. It's a bad product. It's just a bad product, man. So I don't. Again, why are people dying on this hill supporting them? What are you getting out of this to support them? Like, you made an assumption at the very beginning of this video. You said your very first counterpoint to me was you don't have thousands of dollars to buy. That's just lie. It's a lie. It's not true. It's not true. It's not. Gibsons don't cost. I'm not going to hush. This is my channel. You can leave if you like. I'm going to keep talking. Gibsons don't exclusively cost thousands of dollars. They don't, period. Okay? You go buy a guitar on guitarcenter.com used right now, look up Gibson, and sort it low to high. And you're going to find a lot of guitars less than $1,000. Even a Sonex, which is a bolt-on Gibson, is going to be better than a Chibson. I know this because I work in a music store. I've played hundreds of Gibsons. There's a rare exception. I played a, what was it? All-American, I think it was called. An All-American 2 is what it was called. It had like a Strat tremolo, but it had a like a Les Paul Jr. body or something. It was not a very good guitar. That was a dud for sure. And maybe all of them are like that, but that one was definitely a dud. But I will tell you that, generally speaking, I played the Paul, the SG, Firebrand, SG Specials from the 80s, Sonex. All of them were delightful. The pickups sounded better, the neck felt better, the controls were more responsive than any Chibson that I've ever played. And I don't want to hear if you put new pickups in it and a new, no, that's not valid. It's not a valid thing to say, because the whole point is, at the very beginning of this entire conversation, you lose because it's a counterfeit guitar, no matter what you do to it. It's everything else about this entire conversation is irrelevant because it's counterfeit. And if you don't see the moral and ethical problem with that, then it's not worth having a debate with you, because you're rejecting reality and you're rejecting right and wrong. And if you're rejecting reality and rejecting right and wrong, then there's nothing further to discuss on the matter. You see what I'm saying? By the way, every single comment that you leave here is engagement that helps me on my monetized channel. So I appreciate all of your messages, sir. I thank you for engaging with the content. And I thank you for proving my point. You haven't attacked my position with logic or reason in any way, in any meaningful way. If somebody were an outsider watching this, and I'm sure there are some of you here who are on his side, I will tell you that I respect and appreciate that you're not engaging the way he is. I encourage a thoughtful and intellectual debate on this topic, not one that comes from some weird place. You're not buying a Gibson, they are garbage. It's categorically incorrect. Has the QC fallen off recently? Yes, but I addressed this multiple times, man. I mean, no one is going to buy a Gibson and say, world, this Gibson is perfectly adequate. It perfectly, exactly falls right in the 5 out of 10 that I expected it to be. No, no one. They're either going to say, this is the worst piece of shit I've ever played, or this is the most amazing guitar I've ever played. People complain when they're incredibly excited, but they post when they're incredibly excited, they post when they're incredibly angry. More people are incredibly angry than incredibly excited. And everybody else is quiet. They don't say anything. I didn't go on Facebook or any of my groups and say, guys, I got this SG and it's perfectly, exactly adequate. I did not do that. With my Les Paul Studio, I didn't. And that was actually exceptional. It's my nicest guitar. I didn't go say, guys, this is the most awesome guitar I've ever played. No. But if I bought a brand new Gibson and the headstock broke off as soon as I got home, I would have posted about that. So it's confirmation bias on your part. Everybody that has a problem is going to post about their problem. Everybody who doesn't have a problem is going to be quiet. So, plain and simple. I'm not trying to lump a used guitar with a new guitar. My entire point is that a used anything is better than a new Chibson. If you think you have to buy a new guitar You can't be affording a Gibbsy with. Oh, I'm sorry. So this is fake? Okay, you're an expert. I want you to look at it and tell me how fake it is. Tell me how fake my first run Robo is. Go ahead. Do you think this is all I do? It's not. I have like 5 Gibsons too. I don't just have the one. Again, like, you're exposing yourself, man. Like, instead of engaging in intellectual debate, your comeback to me is, no, you're poor. You can't possibly afford a Gibson. What is that argument? I don't understand that. So that's not the way it works, man. It really isn't. Like, I hate to break it to you, but online engagement and social media engagement does not equate to financial success. Financial success can come from literally everywhere else. This is a hobby for me. I enjoy this. If you listened to what I said a minute ago, I said that I don't support Gibson's current business model. Again, you're doing the thing I told you not to do. You're conflating my disapproval of Chibson with my approval of Gibson. And that is not accurate. They're mutually exclusive. I think Gibson is not doing a good thing for people. I don't think it's good that they took the tribute away and replaced it with the custom light, which is an embarrassment of a guitar, I think. It's like a half slab of an SG, but shaped like a Les Paul. Bad move. Don't appreciate it. Don't like it. I also don't like that they're making what was the cheap entry-level Gibson is now an Epiphone. That makes no sense to me. Like, why are they making an R9 Epiphone and charging? Why are they making the Epiphone standard cost $700-800? Doesn't make any sense to me. So you got to understand that. I'm not I'm not cheerleading for them. Did you not listen to anything I just said? It's not for you. Like, are you going to get mad at Lamborghini for making cars because you can't afford them? Are you going to get mad at Ferrari for making cars because you can't afford them? It's not for you. They have a target market, and it's not you, and that's okay. It's not me either. I'm not the target market for that guitar. I'm the target market for the Les Paul Standard, probably. And because they're charging too much, I'm just going to go buy a used one. Again, I don't really support their business model. It's okay to like the way that a brand used to make things. I think that their older guitars are much better. The only thing I like about their newer ones is that they're not weight relieved. I think that's really cool. But they're charging way too much. What is it, $24.99 now for a standard? It's way too much money. So all it is for you is you conflate the two things. You keep proving it over and over and over and over. And anybody who's watching you talk to yourself, answer me this. Why would you buy a new Chibson instead of a used Gibson that costs just a little more? Tell me why. Do you have a reason? That goes for anyone. This isn't a one-on-one. Somebody tell me, because I can save over. That's not what I said. It's not over $1,000 for a Gibson. Period. You're incorrect. You are wrong. I said, why would you buy a Chibson over a used Gibson that costs just a little more after all your mods are done with your Chibson? Your answer is $3K. All right. You are a troll. I'm not going to engage with you anymore. All right. If anybody else wants to chime in, I know Ian's here. Thanks, Ian. Yeah, and that's the whole point of this. Like, this isn't about advocating for Gibson necessarily, and it's not about. I don't understand. Like, this whole exchange in the last half hour is just kind of proof of my point and why I have a problem with all of this. Is we have decided to throw morals and ethics out the window, and that's not just with guitars. I'm not going to get on a political soapbox right now. I'm going to be very simple and say this. We have decided that morals and ethics don't matter anymore. And then we continue to have debates. But at the beginning of the debate, you clarify and say, but morals and ethics aren't part of this conversation, though. We have to, I am not capable of doing that. And there's millions of people in the world, and maybe billions of people in the world that aren't capable of doing that either. So, I'm speaking for those people. So, what's up, Metal? Happy to see you. Oh, I just got a message from someone in the Discord who wishes he could be in the live stream. I think he got in trouble or something. I'm going to call out my friend from New Zealand. Hello. If you get to this part in the video later, when you watch it back, hello. Wish you could be here. We'll see you next time, right? So, yeah, it's pretty cool, man. I had a feeling that this is what was going to happen when I made this video and started streaming this. And I was not disappointed. Hope you guys weren't disappointed either. If anybody else wants to chime in on this, I would like to hear. It's a topic for debate, that's for sure. And it's pretty messed up, man. Like, there's at least 5 or 6 Chibsons that I say Guitar Center a lot because they're probably the biggest retailer in the United States, besides maybe Sweetwater for guitars. I see 5 or 6 Chibsons on there a day. I check that website every single day. I check their used. That's how I get all this. All of this stuff behind me came from Guitar Center used because somebody listed it wrong. I got a deal. That's what happens with almost everything I got. There's 5 or 6 Chibsons right now that are listed as Gibsons. It's awful. Now, Guitar Center should do a better job about checking their stuff. But here's the problem. The ultimate failure of that might land on an unsuspecting consumer. That's awful. I feel really bad for somebody. Like, they save up. I mean, what does a Les Paul standard go for now? Like $1,300, $1,200 used for a standard. They save up $1,200 and then they get it, and it's a Chibson. Could you imagine? And they may not know. I mean, they may grow old with that thing and then leave it to their family, and their family inherits it, and it's fake. But could you imagine? It's awful. Absolutely awful. So just remember, when you're out in the world and you see people that say things that are categorically incorrect, provably incorrect, asinine, and ignorant, remember, we need to speak our minds, because those people don't hesitate to speak their minds. I was quiet about this topic for the better part of 2 years before I said anything. It got pretty crazy. Am I an influencer? Hell no. Am I somebody that people listen to? Hell no. I'm a very tiny drop in a very large bucket. But I feel that I and others who think the way I do need to start talking, because everybody else seems to be okay with being open about that. So I think we all should do the same. Maybell, you are totally correct. I think an ESP, the EC10, for example. I talked about that in my Chibson video, actually. The ESP EC10 is like $100 used, and that thing kicks ass. It's got 24 frets. I don't think it's really an ebony fingerboard, but it looks like one. It is a nice ass guitar, Les Paul shaped, and it blows away any Chibson that you can find. And even if it didn't, it's legal, and it's not counterfeit, pretending to be something that it's not. Metal, that's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. Metal, I believe it. I really do. You know, the other thing everybody talks about is that Gibsons don't stay in tune. I did not tune this guitar before the stream started, right? And you heard me playing it at the beginning. It's still in tune. This Gibson stays in tune just fine. People just hate him. I don't get it. Probably just jealous because they could never afford one. I don't know. And even if they couldn't, like I've said before, just go get like anything. Get an EC10. If you really want to stick it to Gibson, go buy like a vintage Ibanez Les Paul from the 70s. Because those were sticking it to Gibson at the time, you know. But guess what? They didn't say Gibson on the headstock. They said Ibanez on the headstock. I'm more okay with it. It's still not really ethical, though, because they did rip off and steal blatantly an entire guitar design and then put their own name on it. I respect that a little bit more, though, because they're not. It's crazy, man. Yeah, Epiphone SGs are nice. I really like my Epiphone SG. Well, I did. I ended up selling it. I don't remember what I did. Oh, I sold it for and traded it toward a Gibson SG Special, which I took to a guitar show and sold, and then I used that money to buy a Gibson Les Paul from a different guy at the same show. At the very end, the guy walks in with it. He's like trying to get rid of it. He was acting like it was stolen or something. I don't know. He was weird. He walked in with this case to my booth, and he came up to my booth, and he's like, I got this Les Paul. And I was like, okay. And I looked at it. How much do you want? And he told me. I couldn't believe him. I really couldn't. I looked at it, and it turned out it was real. You know, I've shown it on this channel a few times already. It's my number one right now. I love that thing. But it's crazy. You know what else I really like is when people ignore things that you say, you know? It's crazy. It's crazy. Did you know that something made in China as cheaply as possible by manual, basically slave labor, is exactly the same thing as a skilled American luthier? Did you know that? The products that those two groups of people make are identical in quality and allure. Yeah, fun fact. You can, my number one on that rack on the right. You can see. Oh, is it a Starcaster? I'm gonna guess it's a Starcaster. Yeah, that's a good number one to have, I tell you. Those are nice. I really like those. They're interesting. Someone was asking me about them the other day. They were like, "What is that?" And it's really weird. Like, we made a whole video about this, but it's pretty cool. You know, a full size body, full thickness body. They sold them super cheap too. Weren't they like $149 or something, or $100 back in the day? There was a time when you could buy them for less than $100 all day long used. But then people found out about them, and they want them mainly just for the bodies. The necks are pretty good, generally speaking. Yeah, 150 new, I think. You know what's crazy? I was looking at an inflation calculator because I got a new guitar coming to me that I found online yesterday. I'm really excited about it, and I'll show it on this channel when it comes. But people were talking about it because it's now become a collectible. At the time, it was a budget guitar, and it's now become like this collectible. And everybody's like, it's pretty crazy how this guitar only cost $500 when it came out in 1996. And now it's worth $1,000. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, so I looked it up. It turns out, fun fact of the day, 1996 to today, in the United States, inflation is 100%, almost exactly 100%. So everything the dollar is worth twice today what it cost or what it was worth in 1996. So that $500 guitar would be $1,000 today. Now, that's assuming that all sectors inflated at the exact same rate and ended in the same place, which they didn't. That's why using inflation for that length of time is probably not a good idea. It's okay to use it for like a year, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. You know, that kind of makes sense. But over that long of a stretch, you could say, yeah, that $500 is $1,000 a day. Technically speaking, it is. But as we know, not everything has increased or decreased at the same rate, even in the last couple of years. So to do that over the course of almost 30 years is totally not a good idea. But I just thought that was interesting. It's worth $1,000 today, but it was only 500 new. Okay, well, 500 then is 1,000 now. Add in the collectability and the scarcity, and that's actually not that surprising if you really think about it. I was looking at one of my old musician's friend catalogs from 2005, I think it was 2004. There was a standard Stratocaster Fender for $229 back then. I think it was Chinese, but still, it's crazy, totally crazy how much things have changed in the guitar world for us. $150 back in 2005. I looked this up. 2005, I think it was like 60% inflation since then, something like that. 70% ballpark. So, you know, you do that, you're talking about like 200, 250 bucks today, which if they sold those new, that's probably what they'd cost. What's an Affinity? 289. It's effectively an Affinity. I personally like Starcasters much better than Squires because I think that the headstock logo looks cooler. Starcaster looks cooler than Squire to me. And I really like the shape of the headstock too. I don't know. It's something that's super different. But yeah, mine's back there. I actually had to take a bunch of parts off of it though. We modded it in my video and put all the gold stuff on it. But I took a lot of the gold stuff off of it and put it on my black label. Squire series, my 94. Like I had a gold output jack and I had something else gold. I took it all, gold bridge. Took it all off and put it on my black label. My black label now has an anodized gold splatter custom shop pickguard that I found at the guitar shop that I work at. It was a 1994 custom shop pickguard. It was perfect because I wanted a new pickguard for my 94 black label, so it went on there. Bottom edge to be straight and not have the curve. I'm trying to think about what you're talking about. I know that there's the ones that have the giant top, and then they have the ones that has the little top. You're talking about like the smaller ones. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Like this one right there. Right there. It's more straight, a little bit less curve. It's pretty cool, man. Yeah. I'm the opposite. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, honestly. Like, I understand both arguments. I really do. For some reason, I've always liked the giant, stupid one. I think it's because my first guitar that I ever had was a 2002 Affinity. And that had the gigantic, with big swooping, you know. But I know what you mean. I get it. Like, I could see how that might be a little gaudy. Yeah, 60s, 70s, like pre-CBS, post-CBS. Or pre-CBS and then CBS. Hi, Yannick. I missed you guys. I haven't done one of these for a while because my equipment wasn't working. Spent over an hour trying to get my equipment working, and it was a complete failure, so I gave up, and I'm doing it with just my webcam. I have an interface and stuff, but it's not working. I gotta get a new one. Really sucks. Hey, everything's going great. You know, I got my new band together. We're actually practicing Thursday. We practice once a week. I practice every day, but we've got, got my new band together. I left my old band, and then I'm doing this. You know. Yep. Metal sent a picture to the Discord of what he's talking about. Yes, I actually have an example of each. I'll go grab them. An object lesson, if you will. Oh. let's see. So I've got these two guitars right here, right? So the one right here, this is the smaller headstock. And you can see that the little ball is a little bit smaller. And the little hump underneath the F on Fender is a little bit smaller. But then this one here is comically large. It's got a gigantic rounded part on the headstock, and then it's got a gigantic hump under the S on the Squire. So these are the two different kinds of headstock shapes that Strats had from Fender, pre-CBS and CBS era. As Yannick said, 60s versus 70s, that would be accurate as well. I don't really know the reasoning as to why it was changed, but yeah, there you go. This guitar, we've talked about it. This is my very first guitar that I ever owned. This is a 2002 Affinity Strat. I love this guitar. I will never, ever part with it. Ever, 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 no matter what. And then this one right here is Black Label. We talked about this. This was one of my most successful videos and one of the ones that brought a lot of people to the channel. But I went through and I added, this is that pickguard I told you about right here. It actually, this is an official Fender. It's a gold metallic. It's made of metal pickguard. It says custom shop 1994 right there. And then I put a gold bridge from the Starcaster and then the gold output jack from the Starcaster. And then I found these pirate knobs at the shop that I work at, so I put those on there. I left the Spursel locking tuners on here as well. Unfortunately, Squire Series is still rubbed off. It should say Squire Series right there. But whoever owned this before me rubbed it off. Is the body width the same like a Fender on that Squire? No, it is not. It is thinner. Hopefully I can get this in the frame. I don't know if I can, but I'm going to try. Let's see. I'm going to hold them back to back and then hold them up for you so that you can see. You can really tell. Look at that. Boom. So the Affinity is the red one, and you can see it's quite a bit thinner. Don't look at the middle because there's a body contour there. Look at the top. Look at the upper horn. You can really see that thickness difference there, right? So I'm going to go put these away, and I'm going to grab something else that I really want to show you guys that I've been working on. It's a pretty cool... All right, look at this. I built this. Well, I didn't build it like I'm a luthier or anything, but so I wanted to build my own ultimate Strat, and there's a video coming out on this probably this weekend. But I bought all the parts for this separately, and instead of doing a traditional parts caster, I built a Strat with all Fender parts. Everything on this is a Fender part. And it was cheaper than a new Mexican Strat. So, go figure. So, we'll start with the body. The body is a Robert Cray body. Now, my understanding is that this might have been one of his. If you know who Robert Cray is, he's a really good bluesman with a really good voice, and he's got a really good song that's been stuck in my head all day, by the way. It's called Right Next Door Because of Me. If you've never heard that song, go listen to it right now, because that song is amazing. Anyway, but why did I pick it? Why did I pick it? I want you to look at the back. Oh, yes. This is a hardtail Strat body. So there's no trem on this. It goes straight through like a telly. I always wanted one of them. A lot of people have, but they're really hard to get. Now, that's the first thing. Second thing is the pick guard and the pickups. I got the noiseless ultra hot pickups. So noiseless ultra hot, they're not actually single coils. They are humbuckers. They are stacked humbuckers. I'm kind of disappointed with Fender because Fender didn't really disclose that. They don't disclose to you that they're humbuckers. They make you think they're single coils, but they're not single coils. They make you think they are, but they're not. They look like them, but they're not. They're actually humbuckers. So those are the pickups I went with. The ultra hot noiseless. They're pretty good. Well, I'll plug it in a second. You can listen to it. I got the soft touch knobs. So these knobs are interesting. You can't really see it, damn it, but there's a piece of rubber that goes around the outside of the knob. It feels really nice to the touch. And then probably the part I like the most about it, and the most expensive part of this whole build, was the neck. This is a 94 Black Label neck. This one does say Squier Series on it. And this is a left-handed neck. This is not a reverse headstock. This is actually a left-handed neck. Proof, there are no dots on the side for a right-handed player to look at, but there are dots on the side for a left-handed player to look at. So I can hold it like this, down, okay? And one other minor detail, it's not so minor to me, it's something I really love, the tuners. I went with the vintage 70s tuners. I like these better than lockers. See those? I love these tuners so much. They're awesome. So yeah, this is, no strat was good enough for me, and I was getting really tired of that. I was getting really tired of that. I was always having tuning problems, and I was always having I was never really bonding with anything, and I couldn't bond with the Black Label. The other one was the only other one I could really bond with. And so I was like, you know what? I want a hardtail really bad. That's what started all of this. So I'm going to build it to my specs. I did change the nut, obviously. Yes. I did not do it Jimi Hendrix style. Robert Cray and Eric Clapton got in a feud during COVID. Uh-oh. That doesn't sound good. Let's turn it on so you can hear it. All right. So I've got it up on the neck position right now. Now, these are not single coils. They're basically humbuckers. They sound great. I do wish they were just hot single coils. I might switch these out for like deluxe drive at some point, but here we go. Sounds great, right? And then let's put it on something a little heavier. And let's put it down to the bridge. Usually this is the bane of a Strat's existence, right? Overdrive on the bridge. It's hard switching between scale lengths. I had that Gibson before, and then I picked up this one. But it sounds good. I really like it. I'm proud of this build. I had a good time making it, and I do like the left-handed neck. Left-handed reverse neck is really cool. Yeah, pretty fun guitar. I love it. All right, well, I think I'm going to wrap it up. It's been an hour. Over the vaccine mandate, Eric was against taking it. Yeah. Thanks, Yannick. I appreciate it. I do think it sounds great. It's pretty much what I wanted out of a strat, and like, you know, I don't have it mic'd up, or I'd play it through like 68 Custom Deluxe. It sounds even better through that, but right now we're just running the Spark. I don't know how good it's coming through for you through the webcam microphone, but hopefully next time the audio interface works a little bit better. Right now it's not working so good. Anyway, I think I'm going to end it there. I appreciate you guys very much. Thank you for sticking around, and thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Don't be afraid to, if you disagree with some of the things I say, I want you to say it, I think that it's good for us to have debates about things. I think it's good for us to challenge each other. But as I say, debates are only worth having if everybody's being honest, and if everybody is being factual, and if everyone's being intellectual. There's some groups that I run, and I only have 3 rules in my groups: be moral, be ethical, and be intelligent. And if you're moral, ethical, and intelligent, then I'm more than willing to have a conversation with anybody. Chibsons have become a very, very divisive topic that have caused people to completely lose their minds. And the biggest difficulty that I see with it is people are not willing to be honest, they're not willing to be ethical, and they're not willing to be moral when having these arguments. So, I encourage the debate, I encourage the conversations and disagreements. But let's just keep those 3 things in mind, because as long as all of us can have those things, we can at least respect each other despite disagreements, right? So, cool. Well, I want to thank you guys again. Thank you very much for being here. I will see you next time. Join the Discord if you haven't. I think their link is in the description somewhere below this video. There are currently 32 of us in there. So I want to see you. Come on and join us. We can talk about more. I agree with you, Ian. I agree with you. I appreciate you for being here and sticking around. So thank you, everybody. See you next time. Keep on rocking, and see you. Bye. Oh, happy Memorial Day.